if we don't journal our expenses, we don't know what we're spending, right? Like now that we're paying everything with credit cards, it feels like no money. And then if you take cash out, say goodbye to that money because it just disappears. Cash disappears.
Hi, I'm Ronnie.
Pedro, we were just talking about just how difficult it could be with individuals understanding their financial well-being. Just how sometimes like the biggest payments that they have to deal with is their car payments, maintaining the cars. Could you go off of that and just pretty much give us the whole breakdown about it, your thought process?
Sure. When evaluating somebody's budget, a lot of the time, I'm not going to say everybody, but a lot of the time, the biggest thing that affects their affordability is the debt that they carry that's on paper. And by on paper, I mean your credit report. Car payments. We like cars. We all know I love cars. I had a speeding ticket I had to pay. It's like $300. It's not fun. But I was, top down in a Mustang. So that happened. And it was Florida. So like the minimum was 70.
Yeah.
The max was 70. So like, if they say 70,
Yeah.
But so the way that banks look at it is any dollar amount that you're paying down and you're not going to be done paying that in 10 months,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to count that against you, right? Meaning if they say to themselves, well, the highest we can go on your debt to income ratio, meaning your gross pay versus any debt that you have, is 50% for the most part, right? Some programs allow higher, but it's again, like I said earlier, marginalized people a lot of the times have to pay more, and there's the poor tax. So like, let's take FHA loans, for example. An FHA loan would allow you to go up to 45% on the front end towards your housing expenses and 55% on the back end, right? Now, what's considered affordable would be 1/3. So we're talking 35% would be affordable, right? 1/3 of your gross, because we don't pay with our gross income, we pay with our net income. So like we take a hit on that. But here's this program that people think, and sometimes is good for certain people, right? Any financial vehicle that you can think of is just a tool, right? And so, a screwdriver is a screwdriver, a drill is a drill, a hammer is a hammer, right? You just have to use it properly, right? Mm-hmm. And so if they allow you to encompass all your debt, and that would make up 55% of your gross income, and on a traditional loan, they cap it at 50. On some other loans, they'll go even lower at like 45, 43%, right? That's to protect you, mm-hmm. right? And it obviously wasn't the banks that did it on their own accord, out of the happiness of their own heart. If they can charge you more money, they would, right? Watch The Big Short if you have not seen it. Dope movie. But one of the largest expenses that I see that affect people in their affordability is their car payments, right? The bank will look at your car payment and they'll say, okay, you're making a $500 payment. Sometimes it's not even on a Beamer. Sometimes it's on a Toyota Venza because, your credit is shot. Now you're paying 20% over 72 months, right? Which is crazy, but I've seen it firsthand. They're going to look at that and say, okay, well, that's $500 less for me. So now your affordability is going to drop by $100,000, right? You went from being able to afford a $400,000 home, now you can afford a $300,000 home. And in New York City, the boroughs, you're not going to find that in terms of a house outside of a co-op, which gets looked at a little bit differently. And these are all barriers that we face when we're trying to get our lives right and get things together for ourselves. We all have a late start because, again, due to employment, due to the opportunities afforded to us, due to the lack of knowledge and lack of access to somebody like myself that's just going to put a mirror against you and say, this is your budget, what do you think? You know, I don't tell people like what to do. I say, this is how much you're spending on an average month. You know, take away Christmas, Thanksgiving, your birthday, whatever, summer. This is what you're spending on an average month. And I want you to take a look at this and say to yourself, what should I do? Should I, you know, stop spending $20 a day on food and bring more food from home, right? These are sacrifices. I mean, I said to myself recently, all right, I'm going to do less Ubers, and because one thing leads to another. So if you go out to eat, that's going out, eating, getting drinks, and then, you know, taking an Uber home. Anytime that you go outside to eat, it's easily $150. Easily. Like for somebody my age, your age, Ronnie, that's easily $150.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's more economical to get a bottle of wine than just separate glasses of wine. That makes sense, right? So you opt to take, you know, your dinner's $40, $50, depending on what you get. And then, you know, bottle of wine's another $60. We're at like 110 right now, 120. Tax and then tip. That's $150.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're taking someone on a date, depending on who's paying, you know, that's $300 one night, right? So like, I said to myself, you know, I'm gonna reduce that because I love to cook, but just sometimes I don't want to cook. I'm already outside.
Yeah.
Recently, I was out at an event with Chase, and I went to their event. You know, had like a couple glasses of wine, and then I'm like, you know what? My friend is a chef at this restaurant. I'm gonna go over there. He told me to come by. He'll comp all the food. I still ended up the bill. Well, it was 4 people, but the bills still ended up being like $300, right?
Yeah.
And this was comp food, so we had like Wagyu steak. You know, like listen,
Really high end.
very good dinner, very good dinner. I gotta get this kid a dope Christmas gift, but very good dinner. Dinner was comp, and then they gave me a $50 gift card on top of that. Great service. It was dope. I'm definitely going back. But any little thing that you do, you have to think about. And the one thing that I tell people is that the main reason that we spend is because of convenience, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to take the train to the airport, right? That's, you know, the train to the airport is going to be like $15 overall, right? You take the train to the Long Island Railroad, then you take the Long Island Railroad to the air train, and now you're at JFK or LaGuardia, right? Yeah, that takes a whole hour to do, right? If I want to, you know, have that hour to myself and be at the airport in 30 minutes, right? I'm going to take an Uber, and that's going to be $70. $70 versus $17, right? We're talking about a $50 savings just to, you know, just to have that convenience. The same thing goes for prepping your meals and bringing it to work, right? I can either, you know, the night before prep a meal and then I'll take some to work, or I can just spend $15 on a sandwich or like anything at Whole Foods, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a matter of convenience. So like if we plan properly, we're gonna be able to save money. And I'm just speaking to like my lifestyle, not like anybody else's, right? So I said to myself, I'm definitely gonna cut down on, you know, eating outside.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't avoid it because of birthdays or whatever, but like, well, macase is not cheap, I know. But you know, these are things that if we don't journal our expenses, we don't know what we're spending, right? Like now that we're paying everything with credit cards, it feels like no money. And then if you take cash out, say goodbye to that money because it just disappears. Cash disappears.
Yeah.
So, you know, a very good note that I'll say to people is that, you know, budgeting, you know, just plugging your numbers into, there's calculators online. If you meet with somebody like myself, if you email me, I can send you one. And it's something that we don't do enough to realize, like, oh man, this is how much I spend every month. This is how much I Uber, $500. Damn, that's, you know, we don't realize it, but that's what happens. And, you know, looking back at it, you say to yourself, I could have went on vacation with that, right? Yeah. And I would say budgeting is something that we don't do. Obviously, sometimes it's not a budgeting situation. It's a matter of, you know, we're bringing in what we're bringing in. New York's expensive. Let's find out how we can improve, what employment opportunities are out there that we're still able to take advantage of. I mean, the lady that cleans in my office building, she is mute and deaf, right? Okay. She still does the job, part of a union, right? You know, making a little bit better money than she would be if she'd be contracted out in a private company, you know? So, like, there are a lot of resources out there that we don't know about, and it's not our fault. It's just like, you know, if we think about Maslow's pyramid of hierarchy of needs, you know, if we're worried about safety and shelter over our roof, we're not gonna be concentrated or have time for other things and seeking out other types of assistance that might be available to us. You know, I have a couple of clients that, like, I help them. I have a client that, like, just follows me and has followed me from one company to another. I saved this guy like 12 grand, just on his rent. He's like, when the pandemic happened, my doctor said I need to be not in New York City. I left the Dominican Republic. For whatever reason, he didn't manage to pay his rent because he had rent to pay in DR. And, you know, there was a program that he was able to take advantage of. I helped him through it, walked him through it. There's another program called SCRIE or DRE, which if you're a senior citizen or if you are permanently disabled, you're able to get your rent straight fixed, like rent controlled, right? No matter where you live in the city. There's another program that it's, you know, for seniors, and again, you know, people with fixed income, disabled persons. They would give you up to $800 to get an air conditioner and get it installed, right? Yeah. So if I'm spending, you know, $500 on a nice AC, which, you know, they're about $500. Now there's $300 for somebody to come to my house and install it, right? Yeah. So, you know, definitely seek and speak to somebody. A good resource is the Financial Empowerment Center. These are financial counselors that are sprinkled throughout the city. I'll send you the link in case, you know, you want to share that. But these are people that have the knowledge, at least on the financial end. Probably not as much in depth as me, but like they have the resources and they're able to help you look over your credit report, help you pay off debt. You know, they're able to identify these programs that are going to make the most sense for you. Yeah. I mean, I recently spoke to actually somebody that was a housing a financial counselor at the organization that I previously worked at. And I said, well, have you thought about doing the one-shot deal for yourself? And then she says, no, because I thought that was for people that weren't working. And I said, no, that's for people that can pay the rent, because what they want is to not see you again, right? Yeah. They understand that you had a hardship and okay, cool. But they want to make sure that if we help you now, we don't see you for a while, right? Yeah. It's called one-shot deal, but it's not really one-shot deal. They'll help you out again. But, you know, they want to make sure that you're able to prove that you can then, moving forward, after they help you with your back rent, you're able to sustain yourself, right? And if you cannot, that's when you wouldn't qualify. Yeah. Right? And she was very surprised by that. And, you know, right there, I saved her, you know, a good $3,000, or like $6,000. Because that's 2 months of rent, right? Because life happens. We pay a boatload of taxes. You know, there's a lot of things that our taxes go to that we definitely don't like. So let's take advantage of those things that exist for us. That we do like. And then I'll leave this note also. Your tax preparation. If you make less than $68,000 a year, That's also your something, 73 now, $73,000 a year. That's something that you can also get done for free, right?
Yeah.
And something that, again, people with very little means do is they get an advance on their tax return, right?
Mhm.
So they'll pay like $300 when you file my taxes. I'll pay you $300 to get the money right now, right? Because obviously I need it. And now I'm $300 short because it was a loan,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to pay for somebody to do your taxes. The city has something called VITA sites, VITA, where they have people that are trained by the IRS to do your taxes
Yeah.
for free.
A lot of them are volunteers that want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they get paid.
Oh, really?
They get paid.
Right.
So a lot of nonprofits would pay these people. They get the money to provide the site, to provide the service. I mean, I might do one of those. I might just go straight through, you know, I mean, if I have time, I'll, you know, it's a lot. But these resources are out there. So like, if I can save myself $150 by not having to pay for my taxes to get done, that's an extra $150 in my pocket.
Yeah.
Right? People don't think about this and they don't know that this is available. So that's the situation. Like, you don't know what you don't know. So speak to somebody that knows. Whenever I don't know anything, I talk to somebody that knows. My godson wanted some comic book. And so I went to one of my friends who now has sponsorships via TikTok because he has a lot. He left his job. Now he does comic books. So I said, yo, what's the My Hero Academia, you know, this issue? You know, what's a good issue to get for my godson? I went and I got him, you know, a dope issue, first edition. Kid loved it, right? Whatever I don't know, I'm not going to pretend that I know. And that's the message that I'm going to need for everybody is you don't know what you don't know. So find somebody that does know. And if it's free, even better. Okay. Yeah. You can always reach out to me via email. Don't call me, email. And I'll point you in the right direction to whatever it is your financial hurdle is. And who knows, you might end up just having me sit in front of you and helping you out, save thousands of dollars off of one conversation, because it definitely happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll have all of Pedro's information on the bottom. Pedro, thank you for coming today. Really appreciate
Thank you for having me.
all the wealth of knowledge.
This is
And
wonderful.
thank you for everything.
Thank you guys for having me as well. Appreciate it.